friends, let's do some art. This week I took inspiration from a project that I myself did as a learner. Some of you know that I love watercolors, but what you might not know is that I really just started this last year doing them. And I started by watching videos on how to watercolor, by painting along with tutorials, by reading books, and then just by practicing. And I did a recent tutorial that I found really challenging. I wasn't sure how it was going to turn out. I was a little intimidated. I was a little scared to try. And then when I finished, I got this as my finished product. I did this following a video and really kind of having to be brave about it. And then I loved it so much that I thought, well, how can we do this as an art video together? And I think that the best way for us to practice the techniques that I learned by doing it in watercolor is actually to do it in crayon. So for this project, you're going to need a piece of blank paper, and listen carefully. You're going to need a few crayons in sort of similar but different shades. So I chose kind of yellowy oranges, and you notice they kind of go from light to dark. So you need 3 or 4 that are different shades of the same kind, in the same kind of color family. So you don't have to do oranges, you could do blues or greens. You could do the pinks and purples like I did with my paint. I'm thinking that it's almost fall break. So I chose these fall colors. And that's all you need for this. Should go get your materials and meet me back here. Okay friends, the first thing I'm gonna ask you to do is to fold your paper in half, hamburger wise. So you go from one long piece of paper to a piece of paper that is half the length. And that's because we're gonna be doing a lot of careful coloring, and I'd rather have us focus on a smaller piece of paper and do it really well than trying to fill the whole sheet. Here is the project and why I found it so intimidating at first. It is an art project that asks us to look at the negative space. In art, negative space is the space that's between or around an object that you're painting. So if you look at my example that I did with the watercolors, it's a painting of leaves, right? But actually when I painted it, I didn't paint the leaves. I painted the spaces around and between the leaves. Whew, it's a little bit, it requires you to shift your thinking a little bit, but I'll take you through it step by step. So get the lightest of your colors. Remember I said to choose 3 or 4 crayons that are in a similar color pattern, color family. So choose the lightest, and you are going to lightly, you're going to color your whole sheet. See, I'm just going over it. If yours is, if your crayon is already peeled, you could go side to side for this first layer. So I should also say this is a technique where we're going to build it up doing layer after layer of coloring, which requires patience. In my class, we've been talking about the patience tool. But one of the things I also notice about this kind of art is you can kind of just get in the zone and let your mind relax as your hands and eyes work together to create what you're creating. The first layer is done. It is a very pale yellow over the whole sheet. So the next stage is we're gonna do the leaves. It's kind of a peekaboo of the leaves. I'm gonna take my next lightest color. It's a yellow-orange. And I'm gonna think about where I wanna put the leaves. A leaf is kind of like a football shape. You go in, out, in. I'm gonna draw this leaf here. And then I'm gonna draw some leaves coming off this main stem. Leaves in nature look irregular. They don't all look perfect. And so I'm not too worried about how my leaves look here. I'm gonna draw one there, and I think I'm gonna draw a set of leaves coming down from the top. I like to draw the leaf that's farthest away first so I know about how much space I need. So here's Another thing I learned from my watercolor teacher. I think I'll draw a couple of leaves coming from here. All right, there it is. And remember I said you're going to be coloring the negative space, the space around and between the objects. So I did draw my orange leaf in, and now I'm going to use my crayon and I'm going to color around this first set of leaves, the spaces between and around the objects. So I am going over the first layer, but I am not coloring the leaf itself. I'm leaving that uncolored, untouched. And I'm going to go as carefully as possible. When you get into the little bitty parts, you can change the orientation of your crayon so you can use it more effectively. But when you're doing the big spaces, you might want to go side to side to cover more space quickly. Like so. Okay, finish coloring yours and I'll show you the next step. Okay, here's what mine looks like. And at this point, you might be thinking, Ms. Ribeiro, this is crazy. It doesn't really look like anything, which is exactly how I felt as I was making my watercolor. Be patient. We've only done 2 layers. Here comes the next layer. I'm going to choose the next darkest crayon, which for me is a red-orange. And I'm going to do basically what I just did, but I'm going to look for another spot to add my leaves. So here's my next layer of leaves. I'm going to draw a big leaf to start, the stem down to the edge, and then some leaves coming off that stem. I'm going to draw maybe another leaf right here, like that. And let me draw just one leaf here with a teeny stem and no other leaves coming off of it. Guess what you do this time? We're going to color the negative space, the space between and around the objects. This time you need to be careful because you've got the leaves that you just drew, but also the leaves you drew on the first layer. So as you're going to not color in any leaves, you're coloring around the leaves. Here's how I'm gonna do it. Color with me. I'm gonna start in the corner. This is a good one for turning your page. And you might want to color in a different direction for this one. And let your eyes and your hands do the work. While you watch what happens. Okay, see right here, I had to go around the leaf that I drew on the first layer, and now I'm also going over the leaf that I just drew. Around in between as carefully as you can. It is definitely not a race. Take your time. Let yourself relax into this task. And you can start to see it take shape. I'll meet you back here for the next level. Okay, did you finish? I bet you can guess what's happening next. Here comes my next level. Now we're running out of space to put leaves, but you can make them overlap under or go under leaves you already have drawn. So look here, I'm gonna imagine there's a leaf hiding underneath it. So you're not gonna see the top of it, but you'll see the bottom and the stem coming out. And there might be a leaf coming off of that one, and see this one kind of tucks under the one that I already drew. I'm not drawing on top of any of the leaves that I have already drawn, but you can pretend it's hiding underneath. There's one of those. I think I'm also going to maybe come into this corner, and this one's gonna kind of tuck behind this little leaf right here, with a stem going here, and another big leaf coming and tucking under that one. And maybe finally a big leaf in this corner, not corner, but on the side. And one filling up this corner, like so. Ooh, this one's gonna be a little challenging to draw, to color the negative space. So here's where it requires you really to pay attention, to look with your eyes to what is a leaf and what is the negative space, because now you have 1, 2, let's see, 1, 2, 3 layers. We're adding the 4th layer of leaves, and you're not going to color over any of the leaves. You're only coloring the negative space. Here's what it's going to look like. I'm going to start doing it, and you can color along with me. Well, I'm going to be careful here because there's a whole bunch of leaves coming together. So, oh, and I went over that one a teeny bit. That's no big deal. I didn't do this corner yet, so I'm going to come back over here. Hey, you've got to hide your... Okay, I'm just going to finish this last corner right here, like so. Okay, friends, we have added all 4 layers of our multi-level negative space art project. Here is one thing you might be thinking. In your example, look at how dark it is. I did an extra layer, and the extra layer was black. You might love the way yours looks right now. But if you want to do the last layer is you are going to fill in the negative space with black. And you could add one more layer of leaves, and here you're going to have to really kind of think about where your leaves are going. So, because there's pretty much no more space to draw leaves, so my leaves are all going to go in the background. Here comes one. I might have one coming this way. And it's okay if they don't exactly match, like you're imagining this leaf is playing peekaboo back here. And maybe it's got another one coming out this way. And I think I'm going to do one more over here. Like I said, invitation, inspiration. If you want to stop after the last layer that we just did together, feel free to stop. But I wanted to show you all the way to the final layer as it looks on my watercolor. One of the reasons I chose crayons is because more people have different shades of crayons than watercolors, and also if you're going to do this project as a watercolor project, you have to let every layer dry before you can go on to the next one, and it takes a long time. Very good for your patience tool. Okay, I did my last layer of leaves. I am going to color the negative space. So I hope you took some time with this project. I hope you let your mind relax a little bit and you let your hands and your eyes do the work of looking and coloring. Here's my finished product. And what I notice about coloring the negative space, the area between and around the objects, is that it makes the objects stand out more. And not just the objects, but the layers. And I like to look at it up close because you can see the marks that I made as I was coloring. I also like to look at it far away and just get the impression of the colors. I liked this project because it really challenged me, and when I first did it, I wasn't sure how it was going to come out, but I kept going, and I really loved the results. If you want to try it again, you could do it in a different color. Like, I liked it so much I did it in green. Or if you want to try to do it in watercolors, you can try to do it in watercolors. You just have to let it dry very well between each layer that you put on. I am going to wish you a really happy and healthy fall break. I know it's not fall break as perhaps you had planned with your family, and everything this year looks a little different. But just like we can look at different things in art, we can look at what's there. We can also look at the spaces in between. I'm going to encourage you to look at the time you have ahead of you for fall break in lots of different ways. And maybe you're not going on a big trip, and I know we're not getting to see all the friends that we want to see, but I'm hoping you will find a chance to relax and recharge and do the things that make you happy. And I will see you again for more art when we come back.